Krishna. Thanks for the opportunity. There's a program for the remembrance, disappearance of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami. And this is normal. We do this for all Vaishnavas. And especially, of course, the disciples they have to do that on disappearance and appearance of their spiritual master. They have to glorify, remember, and have a festival, because it's a festival. Appearance, disappearance, not so different in terms of what we do. So, of course, Maharaj, it's quite recent for us, and those of us who were close to him, of course, all your disciples must have been close to him, but I'm not a disciple. We were together since 1977 in Mayapur. We served together. We were initiated together, and we had a lot of good times together serving Srila Prabhupada. So I spent a lot of time with Maharaj when he was in Mayapur, and I saw two sides that I can present. Everyone knows him and everyone loves him. I don't have to go into that part. Everyone knows it. But what I saw, or one of the things I saw, was he was very concerned about his disciples being properly trained in the culture of Krishna consciousness. That means taking care of each other and taking care of his god brothers, if you like to say like that. Taking care of guests, just taking care. He was very, very particular about that, because he himself was very expert in that. He was in etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette. He was, you could say, a master. He was very, 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 very expert at that. He knew how to do it. And so he was very concerned about training his disciples to do the same. And as disciples, of course, you're supposed to follow in his footsteps. So that's a proper thing. And he was showing you how to do it. But then from the side of his god brothers and other guests, then he was personally doing that, giving that example, so that you could see how he dealt with his god brothers and how he dealt with other guests. So that was one aspect that I very much appreciated and also learned from him myself as a perfect, you could say he was a perfect host, actually. You could say he was a perfect host. And he liked nothing better than to host his god brothers and other guests in his little place up there in the conch building. Of course, that place was and many times he would say to me, this place is too much for me, I should give it up. And I used to tell him, no, don't give it up. While you're here, you're using it properly, you're facilitating devotees in their service, GBC man, and he would feed them and he would take care of them. So he used to make them comfortable when they were in Mayapur. So this is one aspect that I really appreciated of Maharaj, and I thought I should share that. Nothing new, of course, for most of you, but for me it was one of the standout things. He already gave he gave the example, like he's a spiritual master and he's supposed to be worshipped by his disciples. But did he allow that? Even on his Vyas Puja, he would give it to Srila Prabhupada. He would always make a Prabhupada festival. That's what I remember. That's what I saw. So for him, that was very important. He was a servant of Srila Prabhupada, and he didn't want to take any kind of special position, although he was very special, you know that. You could see that by his behavior, and he was inspiring devotees all over the world. But for himself, he didn't want anything, any praise or anything. He wanted everything directed to Srila Prabhupada. So ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's movement. And so that example he showed you, he stayed through ISKCON, not that everything was clean sailing for him. He had different issues, but he didn't leave. He stayed and he worked through it and he went forward. And so that's what you all should do. You should follow in his footsteps and take shelter of ISKCON. ISKCON, with all its faults, because so many people say there's so many faults, and they may be true or may not be true. Nevertheless, ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's movement, and Srila Prabhupada said that, you know, you cooperate together and things will go on nicely. And that's what Maharaj's example was. He was cooperating with his god brothers, with other GBC men, with other leaders, cooperating and pushing on the Hare Krishna movement, which is ISKCON. He's the GBC is the managing authority, and he is a servant. So that's another good example for everyone. He always showing good example. That's what Acharya means, you know, the Acharya, the person who is showing the best Achar. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj was definitely Acharya. He was a wonderful Vaishnav, devotee of the Lord, but he never had any heirs. He never had any special claims. He was servant. And they say, you know, the best servants are the best devotees. So he was a very, very good example of that. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki.